Hello YouTube. Today we are going to do a Let's Play of Star Wars Galaxies. Star Wars Galaxies was a MMO that came out around 2003, and they went through several changes in the game and eventually closed down the servers in 2011, give or take a bit. So the Star Wars Galaxies as a game was just about as different from World of Warcraft as you could possibly get, meaning that it was an open sandbox game, and it was also not class-based, it was skill-based. So with that having been said, a lot of people didn't quite understand how to play it. A lot of people didn't like it. And so Sony changed the game in quite a few ways. But that eventually resulted in Sony losing all of its players, and they closed down the servers in 2011. There are some nice folks over here on Star Wars Galaxies emulator, which is the site here. You can see the link up here, and that will actually let you play the game on their servers, even though Sony has closed down the servers. There is a button here that says Install Star Wars Galaxies EMU, and this will walk you through all of the individual components for setting it up. You have to first start with a copy of the game, and since I was an original player, I actually still had the CDs, but you can purchase them off of eBay and a few other places, and where technically Sony has released their copyright on Star Wars Galaxies, so it's not legally considered piracy or stealing if you use a torrent to download the CDs or ISOs. The server people here consider that to be not acceptable. So you can easily buy a copy of the game for $10 or $15, or probably even less if you keep looking around on eBay. I've already installed my copy of Star Wars Galaxies. I've already installed the emulator, and I've already configured the emulator because I tried this game out here, I don't know, a few months ago or a year ago or something. But we're going to skip ahead because I don't have any recordings of that. This is the window that you get once you have it fully set up and established. Get rid of that. And what this does is it provides you with an interface for the game. It also gives you a start button. This puts you onto the Basilisk server. There are other servers, and the Basilisk server is what's known as a pre-CU. There were three major iterations of the game. And that was pre-CU, CU, which is combat upgrade, and the NGE. The NGE is known as the New Game Experience, and very many people did not like that at all whatsoever. So that caused a significant number of the players to just leave the game. The New Game Experience changed the game from a skill-based game, similar to Morrowind, if you ever played that, to a class-based game, more in line with World of Warcraft. Galaxies came out in 2003, and that was actually before World of Warcraft came out. They had a pretty healthy membership, and back in those days, an online game that had roughly 1 million subscribers was considered to be a big success. Star Wars Galaxies came out, and of course, lots of people leave a game when a brand new game comes out because they simply want to try it. So there was a small drop in player base, but overall the player base was pretty stable. World of Warcraft came out, they started getting a lot more and a lot more and a lot more players, and then for whatever reason, Sony decided that they needed a major upgrade, so they called it the Combat Upgrade. That did a lot of graphical stuff, and it also put in a whole lot more. So World of Warcraft continued to gain favor, and World of Warcraft got up to about 4 million people or so. Then the Sony developers decided that their 1.5 million people were just not sufficient. So they came out with the New Game Experience, NGE. And the NGE was so profoundly different that a huge number of people just quit the game, including myself. I quit 2 days after the NGE, and I was so unhappy because Galaxies in the pre-CU and CU days were an open sandbox. I really liked that open sandbox. And then we got into the New Game Experience, and we were simply unable to make any major changes to our character. So if you started off as a brawler, then you would stay a brawler for the entire duration of the game. And if you are familiar with playing World of Warcraft, then you start a warrior and you're a warrior forever. So that probably doesn't sound like anything significant to you. But Galaxies was different. This is the calculator. I got to it by clicking on this button over here. And these are all of the professions. Professions are sort of like a class in World of Warcraft, except you're not locked in to picking one of them. You can mix and match any number that you like, and if at some point you feel that you've reached the end of whatever that is, then it will let you get rid of all those skills and you can start over. You don't have to start back completely at the beginning. You can drop a skill one by one. So if we click on Carbineer and let's say we pick on Fencer or Swordsman, I just need to click on something. Fencer. Okay, so let's say you were to pick Master Carbineer and Master Fencer. These are your skill points over here. So I have 66 points remaining. Let's say oh, perfect. Okay, so I have mastered a one-handed melee weapon. I've mastered a short two-handed ranged weapon. And I have almost mastered the medic profession. So there's quite a lot that I can do with this. But if for whatever reason I decided I didn't like Fencer and I wanted to, let's say, get Rifleman, then I can't click on it because I'm now at 0. But what I can do is I can come over here to Fencer. I need to free up 15 points. Oh, if I look over here, by the way, Novice Fencer. No, it's 6 points. So if you see this little number right here on the bottom corner, that is the number of skill points required to obtain this skill. So I could actually pick up 2 more. Oh, no. Learn how to count. I can actually just free up those individually, and then whatever it was I said earlier, Pikeman starts with a P. Oh, I forgot. So I actually need to meet the requirements for this profession, and I'm going to try and get on into more detail here and maybe even be slightly more exciting. So I'll need to go back into Fencer and free up 8 points. So that's 2, that's 3, and that's 3. Now I have 10 points remaining. Now if I come back over to Brawler, I can pick up the 2 pikemen. Now I will qualify, or I qualify for the base of pikemen, which is called novice pikemen. But I don't have enough skill points. I only have 1 skill point. So if I come back over to Fencer, I only need 6. So now I can go pikemen right here, and boom. So now I can start using pikemen, and then as I progress, I will be able to free up more for pikemen. So, and I can do that incrementally as I am progressing through pikemen. So eventually I can give up all of Fencer and then come back to Brawler and remove all of that. And then I can be a Master Pikeman. So my statement before that said I didn't want to be locked into a certain class or profession is because Galaxies in the pre-CU and the CU eras allowed you to actually play through a set of professions and then change your mind and do something more. In fact, the game designers had specifically put that into mind when they were designing the game. So if you're a new player, you're not going to want to go for the most impressive class right from the start because it will require lots of money and it will require lots of resources and it will require your character to be an established character. Now, this calculator is based on when the game was live, not how the game is presently. And when the game was live, these boxes over here were for Jedi, and this box here was for jump to light speed. So this is actually a space fighter pilot sub game that was an expansion onto the game. And then these were how you got into Jedi. So Jedi is an advanced alpha class, if you like, and it took a lot of work to get to the point of getting a Jedi. So you had to play around with all of the other ones, and that would eventually lead into you being eligible to become a Jedi. Now, over here there are what's called basic professions, and then there are elite and hybrid professions. Hit reset. So in the basic professions, which any character can get at any time, all you have to do is pay the 1,000 credits or whatever it is. You can just walk up to a trainer and say, I am right now a brawler, but I would like to become a medic. So you find the medic trainer and he will train you in medic. Each of these boxes have their own skill requirement. So I can't move my mouse because this portion of the screen changes as I move the mouse, if you notice. But at the very bottom of that box says experience, requires 1,000 medical experience. And this will change not only depending on the branch of the tree you're in, but also for the tree that you're in. So right now I'm in the medic tree. This requires 1,000 medical, and that's 1,000 medical. The same. And this one says 500 medicine crafting. If we come over to Brawler, which is the melee class, this says 1,000 unarmed combat, 1,000 one-handed combat, 1,000 two-handed weapons, and then 1,000 polearm. I said combat before, it should be weapons. So what that means is you have to have the right weapon equipped and perform combat on some creature in the world or an NPC or whatever. And then you get experience in that type that is applicable to whatever weapon you are holding. So in this video series, and we'll probably get into quite a few video series on how to play, I'm going to be sticking with the basic professions. I'm not going to talk about marksman, and I don't really know much about entertainer, but I can talk to all of the others. So this will be a let's play and a tutorial, not only for how to progress through the individual professions, but also what they can do for you. So a brief summary is Brawler is the melee profession, Marksman is the ranged profession, Medic is the healer, Artisan is the crafter, and Scout is the explorer. Now, we're going to go into more detail on all of that as we're progressing through the game and so forth, but the thing to remember is you can pick up any number of these and get rid of any number of these however often you like. So once you create a character, you don't need to create another character or delete your character to create another character so that you can try something else out. Right, so what we're going to be working on in this series, let's hit reset, is I want to master Artisan. I want to get 2 Carbine, Master Medic, and Master Scout. Now, as we are progressing towards this, we are also going to pick up Brawler for a little while so that my marksman skills won't get hit too badly. The problem with only having marksman, especially in the low levels, is when you shoot something, it will run at you, and then you will be using a ranged weapon on something that is using melee on you as you are progressing. So that's sort of a problem, right? So it's not like in World of Warcraft when you get a hunter, you can use a sword and a gun or a bow. Do they use bows? I don't remember. It's been a long time since I played WoW. Anyway, if you are very good at ranged, then you will be able to keep them at range and you won't need melee. If you have very good ranged, then you can move around and you can stop them from moving. You can stop them from getting in range. You won't need melee. But in the lower levels, you really should pick up all of the individual skill trees, or professions. That way you can use all of those skills at your hand to prevent dying. So this button right here is what allows us to start the game. And one little detail, setting options, multi-threaded full scan, nope, 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 capture, debug, no, no, no. There was a button somewhere. Gameplay settings. Skip intro sequence on game. So you can click on this to prevent the intro sequence once you are familiar with playing the game. But I'm going to leave that on for just now. And we're going to go ahead and start the game. Okay, so I've actually made this video way too long. So we're going to cut this here. We're going to call this the end of part 1. And go ahead and subscribe. Go ahead and like. And follow along with the rest of the video series so that you can get all of the information on how to play this wonderful game. Have a nice day.